1230 WBVP, also streaming live around the world at beavercountyradio.com.
It's time to wake up and get driving in the fast lane here on Beaver County Radio. It's the morning show that talks about what's happening in the news, locally, regionally, and nationally. There's also music to get you started for the day. It's all brought to you by Patriot Home Care. And now, here is the host of the show, Frank Sparks.
Kids had won it, Bobby Thompson had done it, and Yogi read the comics all the while. Rock and roll was being born, marijuana we would scorn. So down on the corner the national pastime went on trial. We're talking baseball, Klazuski, Campanella, talking baseball. The man and Bobby Fella, the Scooter, the Barber and the Nuke. They knew them all from Boston to Dubuque, especially Willie, Mickey, and the Duke.
And of course, we're going to talk baseball today. Steve Higgins here from the Larry Bruno Foundation, among other things we're going to talk about today as well. So good morning, Steve.
Good morning, Frank. And I want to make a quick comment on that beautiful song you just played. We're working on a song at the Larry Bruno Foundation that kind of copies what you just played. All right. But it's a Beaver Falls gig.
That'd be cool.
With all the names, like Bucky and Joe Willie and Walton and
That'd be cool. Yeah.
Bucky and Joe Willie, Walton and DeChili. Hey, I just come up with a jingle.
DeChili. We got a DeChili that's advertising with us. What's the DeChili's name that was?
Oh, Big Lou was a great
I forgot about Lou.
quarterback. Lou, and then Tommy and Bob played, and then
how about Joe? You know Joe?
Who could forget Mimi, the quarterback, Jimmy DeChili?
Yeah, that's true. There was a lot of Beaver Falls.
We're going to do a little song and unveil it at the museum.
All right, that's cool.
Yeah.
So you know Joe DeChili?
I don't know Joe DeChili.
Right. He's originally from Beaver Falls. We were played his song earlier. He runs a new place called Scrap. It's not new, but Scrappy Joe's our new advertiser.
Oh,
and he used Donnie Iris. So I got Scott walking around all day going, scrap, scrap, scrap. They call him Scrapper.
Check that out.
Yeah. So, all right.
Yeah.
So before we get started, though, it is the time of day, and hopefully I've got the right one queued up. It is the time of day for the Hank's Scoop of the Day. Maybe.
Now it's time
there we go.
for the Higgs flavor of the day. Today's flavor is strawberry. Head on over to one of my favorite places. Higgs frozen custard and Mexican food in New Brighton today.
There you go. Strawberry, and that's her favorite flavor.
She did a great job there.
Yeah, my daughter Gabby, she loves Hank's. That's like,
how could you not?
She doesn't even want to go for the food. She's ice cream. I'm like, we're getting food first.
Hang out.
We're getting food first. No, I want ice cream. All right. So you said you were there yesterday, huh? What'd you get?
I was there yesterday. I got the taco value meal, which is still a great deal. All
right.
You get 3 tacos and a drink for a reasonable price.
Absolutely.
And do they have a new owner, Frank?
Yes. Yeah.
I noticed that I'm not banging the old owners by any means because it's,
it's
Hank's. But the tacos seem a little meatier, a little bigger.
So Jeff owned it. And he sold it to his nephew, Andrew.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
So, and Andrew's Andrew's down. He's been there for a long time. He's worked there and stuff.
Oh,
so,
okay.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I noticed that he must have said something to the makers.
I don't know.
But I was there twice this year so far, and the tacos have been bigger.
I didn't notice.
Yeah.
I'm not going to tell you how many times I've been there. I don't want to embarrass myself.
That's okay.
That's my go-to, man. This taco value meal with El Scorcho tacos, hard shell.
And they've been there forever. My mom told me that she used to go there when her and my dad were dating.
Wow. My brother used to go there all the time. My brother worked there when he was younger in high school. I used to have to wear those when Hank was still alive and he ran the place. Hank and Peggy, I think was their name.
Oh.
And they had to wear like the plaid shirts and they had those the tie downs that came, the tie it came down. It was like 2 strings and it had like the logo of Hanks in the middle of it. Oh yeah.
I bet
My brother still has that.
That's probably cool though. You know,
It'd be a cool piece of memorabilia if someone still has one of those Hanks ties.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that'd be pretty cool. So, all right, we're going to talk baseball today a little bit. But first, let's talk about the Larry Bruno Foundation. You guys got pretty cool events coming up. You've got a speaker coming in as well. I found out Mr. Romai is going to be your MC that night, so that'll be fun. It's going to be cool. Tell us about it.
Frank, we're so excited. This is our busy time of the year for the foundation. We have events through the year. We have our night at the races in January. We have our golf outing May 30th, and we have our banquet July 26th. Also this year, we're having Ed Prince, who's a nationally known author and local native, is coming in May 12th, and this is open to the public, and we're very excited for this. And Frank, this is just an example of the type of programs that we plan on offering at the foundation. We are totally for the public. The thing we do is to enrich our culture, enrich our neighborhoods, educate our young people on the glory of being a Beaver County citizen, of growing up in Beaver County. And we're kind of humble. We still have that working man's attitude, you know, the people of Beaver County. So we don't like to brag too much on what we do. But it is utterly amazing, especially in the world of sports, that what is accomplished from this small community that affects everyone in the whole country. I mean, just for example, the NFL as an entity, as a league, no other small town in America has done more to promote the NFL than Beaver Falls.
Right.
And when people are looking at me like, what are you talking about? I could sit here and tell you story after story of natives from Beaver Falls that have changed the path of the NFL. It all starts with the Walton family. Right. With Tiger Walton back in 1934 when he was drafted by what was then the Washington Redskin franchise. I'm not sure what they were called back then. But him and his son Joe are the second father-son NFL football players in history.
Wow.
Now, this come right from Joe Walton, told me this.
Okay.
And he says that the first pair, the guy that the father played, and then the son only had like a 1-month career.
Oh, okay.
So Joe is really the first son of an NFL player that had a nice career. I think Walton had a 9-year career in the NFL.
Yeah.
So that's amazing, okay? Then Tiger Walton was a coach. People don't realize in the 40s when World War II started, okay, they were bringing back, everyone was going to the war. Remember Ted Williams, all these baseball players and all these athletes were going to the war, and they were bringing back veterans, old veterans, you know, to fill in, kind of like the Scabs did in our era.
Yeah, didn't they combine like the Steelers and the Eagles at that time and play a game together?
The Steagles.
Yeah,
they sure did.
Yeah.
Okay, so that was going on.
Right.
So what happened was they brought Tiger Walton back to coach. Bingo. When Joe Walton became a coach in the 60s, they were the first father-son coaches in the NFL.
Cool.
Now, isn't that a hell of a distinction?
Yeah, that is.
Okay,
that is.
Now you throw in Bucky Mutchler, who Bucky played in the greatest game ever played. He had 2 big plays in that greatest game ever played. He was a starting tight end for the Baltimore Colts against the Giants, 1958, which is credited with the game that springboarded the NFL into what it is today.
Right.
We had a main participant in that game. Okay?
That's wild. Yeah.
And we haven't even got to Super Bowl III yet.
Right. I was going to say probably
see where I'm going.
Right, and that's probably the mark that Joe Willie put on the NFL. I mean, like Frenchie Fuqua and all them put in their little marks, the way they dressed and stuff. But Joe Namath was probably the first Hollywood star type that come rolling into the NFL. You know what I mean? He had all the razzle and dazzle around him, and that's obviously called Broadway Joe, but he was the first one that had that aura around him that he was like a rock star going into football, and that's what
it resonated outside of his league.
Right.
Outside of his league. Because you remember, you had Mickey Mantle, and Mickey used to do the Mapo commercials.
Right.
I mean, there were athletes out there that did things. But Joe, boom. He put him on steroids. He's like, we're going to another level.
And that was probably one of the most, no matter who you are, there's those names in your life that no matter who you are, you blurt out those names, and it's most recognizable. And Joe Namath is probably one of the most recognizable names in in the world, if not the country.
What other person is associated with their hometown?
Okay.
Like Joe? No
Right.
one. I mean, you say Frank Sinatra, Hoboken.
Right.
Dean Martin, Steubenville. Joe Namath, Beaver Falls.
Right.
It's just like, everybody from Beaver Falls that travels and they say, I'm from Beaver Falls,
Right.
first thing people say is home of Joe Willie Namath.
That's right.
So you can't deny it. You can't deny it. But there's so much more than just Joe.
Oh, absolutely.
So much more.
Right.
Like you mentioned, you wanted to talk a little baseball. We kind of
Right.
got off on football.
Right. That's all right.
But baseball is probably the sport that we have the least celebrities, come from the area. It's weather driven.
Yeah,
It's because of the weather.
Right, exactly. I mean, probably one of the biggest names to come out of our area actually came out of New Brighton, and that was Terry Francona, who's the current coach of the Reds right now. So that was probably, and for me as a kid growing up, and that's kind of where I wanted to go today when you said, well, let's do this since we don't have anybody. I was thinking of the rivalries back in the day. Remember? And I'm not even talking in school. I'm talking about the rivalries when it came to like Legion ball. Remember, you had Angelo Gans in New Brighton, you had Joe Colella out there in Hopewell, and then and Beaver Falls was always good, and you just had that you always knew those were going to be ball games to go see. If you were going to go see a game, that's what to go see. And I remember getting to go watch him as a kid and watching Terry Francona play just about every position in the field. And it was a cool time to be growing up and being a fan of baseball in Beaver County, that's for sure.
That is what we want to help restore with the Larry Bruno Foundation. That baseball field in Beaver Falls was packed for high school games,
Right.
junior Legion games. I mean, going back forever and ever. I mean, you said the rivalries.
Right.
So many great players came through. Doc Medich pitched
Right.
against Beaver Falls. Richie Allen played for Wampum Legion at the Beaver Falls field. In Joe Namath's day, there was a guy that was a future major leaguer from Ambridge. His name was Freddie Clegus.
Yep.
And Joe still talks about Freddie today. He still talks about those rivalries, that went on. And there was so much history. That's just like the event that we're having in May with Ed Prince coming and talking about Little League Baseball. He romanticized this in his book, The Last Perfect Summer. And, oh, man, it was just like sitting and watching a movie, reading that book.
Right.
Because it was people that you grew up watching. Of course, he changed the names and everything, but we knew who the characters were.
Right.
And the history was so rich with baseball back in those days, and it just seems like in Pennsylvania with the weather, the whole Northeast basically,
Right.
it's so hard to be a great baseball player because of the elements. You have a short season. You have to practice indoors a lot because of the weather. And it's just, compared to the Sun Belt states, we just don't produce as many, top athletes.
Absolutely, yeah. And I think a lot when it came to the world of baseball, too, was around here, Legion season was bigger than high school season. I mean, high school season was always big, but I think Legion was, and that's where a lot of the guys actually showcased a lot of their talents more than anything. Was because of that. And
it was great.
Yeah, I mean, Legion ball was just where it was at there in the 70s, 60s, 70s, even. That was what to go watch, Legion baseball.
Junior Legion baseball was unbelievable because what it persisted of, you were allowed to have a guy that was out of high school. I think you could be 19
Yep, yeah,
and
you
still
can
play.
Yeah, you can be a freshman in college
So
and still play.
you could go to a Legion game this year or if they had Legion, and you can watch an athlete that had graduated last year that's maybe a freshman in college that's come back.
How many colleges are going to allow that now?
I know. And they would come back and they would play, or else you would have guys that were such great athletes in high school.
Right.
Dwight Collins comes to mind.
Yeah.
That he didn't play high school baseball, but by the time that the school year ended, he's like, well, you know what? I could play junior Legion ball.
Right.
So you would have these football guys that were big stars that you didn't get a chance to watch them play high school baseball. You could come in the summer and watch them play a junior Legion schedule.
Yeah.
You know, and like you're playing against guys like Terry Francona and Richie Allen and all these guys. And it was, I tell you, I really missed that junior Legion competition. That was something that we lost in this area that you know.
And we've had a lot of players come from our area, too, that over time. I mean, you know, not just Beaver Falls, New Brighton. I mean, you figure, Beavers had a couple. You've had Jack Clark, obviously, that came out of Beaver County. Then you had John Burnett, remember? Or Burkett, remember him. And then Blackhawk area, Doug Pyatt, he was a great one.
Well, Pyatt played for Beaver.
Yeah, or Beaver, that's right.
He was on the team with Burkett.
I know the names, they kind of, get goofy in my head sometimes.
They made it all the way to the state their senior year, and they lost
I remember that.
in the finals.
I was thinking of Oma Grosso's the one that's out of that was from Blackhawk. He was a good one too. There's a lot. I mean, let me go down the list of some of the guys that come out of Beaver County, and people are welcome to call in too and comment about some of the greats that come out of Beaver County when it came to baseball and some of the just some of your memories. The phone lines are open at 724-843-1888. So here, we'll go down the list, a couple of them. We've already talked about Burkett, Clark. We talked about Carver. You can't forget about Jack Jamaska. Can't forget about him.
Maybe the best Beaver Falls player ever, maybe.
Cardinals.
Major leaguer.
Yeah, I remember
63.
interviewing him.
He'd be a millionaire today.
Yeah. Oh,
absolutely.
Millionaire. Absolutely.
And he played in an era where if you got behind a good second baseman in the major leagues, you weren't going to play.
Yep.
He'd be a millionaire today.
Obviously, the Franconas. Mark Grader, forgot about him. Clayton Hamilton. I'm trying to see who else. Joe Lynette. I forgot all about him. Tom McCreary, Brendan McKay. That's another one.
Oh, yeah.
Yep. Doc Medich. We talked about Pyatt.
Well, Freddie Clegus was in that group.
Yep. He's on the list there. Ted Reed, Pop Rising. I'm trying to think who else. Oh, Josh Sharpless. Forgot about him.
Oh, Josh Sharpless.
Yeah, played for the Pirates for a little bit there.
Well, Frank, how far back you want to go?
Let's go, man.
I could drop a name on you.
Go ahead.
From the 40s, from Aliquippa, that will blow your mind.
Go ahead.
Pecky Suter.
Oh, okay.
Did you ever hear of Pecky Suter?
I have, actually, yes.
Starting second baseman.
Okay.
I believe it was for the Cardinals. For like 5 years in the 40s. Right. He was an Aliquippa
He's
grad.
actually on the list. Pete Suter.
Oh, Pete. They called him Pecky.
Yeah, Pete Pecky Suter. Yep. Yeah.
And one of the greatest, I think, baseball players ever from Beaver Falls that's not going to show up on your list was Benny Carter.
Oh, yeah. I forgot about Benny. That was my generation.
Feared.
Yeah.
He was
feared.
Good. I remember when I played in the 30 and over league in Beaver County. Benny's a lot younger than me.
Right.
And the next year, Benny was 29.
Right.
He was going to be 30, and we had him. I played for the Blue Room Qs.
Okay. Right.
And the whole league that year, every game would come up to us and say, "Are you going to get Carter next year?"
Right.
We're like, "Yeah." They're like, "Uh-oh." I mean, he was 30, 10 years out of high school, and still feared. I think he could have been one of the greatest.
No, another
ever.
one that didn't go anywhere either that I know of because my dad was working for his family at the time was David Woolsey down in Hopewell. He was another one that was a heck of a ball player.
Hopewell had such a program with Kalella.
Yep.
They were Beaver Falls' big rivals in the 70s.
Oh, yeah. I used to get to go to all those games as a kid.
Because Beaver Falls, let's face it, from 1960s through 1980, we were the top in baseball.
Okay.
All
right, so let's Noah, hang tight for 1 second, and we're going to take a phone call real quick, and then after we take our phone call, we're going to do headline news. Good morning, you're on Driving in the Fast Lane.
Hi, Frank.
Hey, Don. What's up?
I'm having a hard time talking today because I got all my teeth out yesterday.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's not good, Howie.
So
I didn't recognize you at first. What's up?
Anyway, Pat Cummings from Beaver, he went to high school and I did.
Okay.
and he, after high school, he played junior legion ball.
Okay.
And he ended up going to the White Sox in their farm club,
Okay.
and he was 38-14 in the farm club.
Wow. Okay. That's
So
pretty cool.
He had three no-hitters in high school.
Wow. There's a lot of that. So, all right, cool. Appreciate you sharing, Howie.
Okay, bye-bye.
Get better, buddy.
Try to.
All right. That sounds bad. Ugh. Had all of his teeth pulled out. Another name came out. He was sitting there talking about other people, no hitters. Another one, there's a couple that came out of New Brighton that I knew of growing up. Walt Debo, Kenny McCracken, who runs Spratt Funeral Home. So him as well. Yeah. Kenny was a really good pitcher in high school.
Ernie Willis was good too.
Yep. So all right, Noah's going to do headlines, and then we're going to take a break after headlines, and then we'll come back with more with Steve Higgins here on Driving in the Fast Lane on a Friday morning. Noah, take it away.
All right. Thank you, Frank. Coming up at 9:05 on News Headlines, a man who got a life sentence in prison for murdering his friend in Aliquippa in 2020 might get an evidentiary hearing from the state Supreme Court after they make a decision. PennDOT confirms that Wildwood Road is indefinitely closed after a landslide occurred on the road this week. The Beaver County Marcellus Awareness Community is teaming up with Penn State Beaver for a free public event for people to interact with frontline environmental organizations and to learn about the local environment. Congressman Chris Deluzio confirms that Reserve Township gets $50,000 to train Reserve Township staff and to buy equipment and supplies for technology in the area. The Pennsylvania State Police troopers got equipped with body-worn cameras after an operation to show respect and professionalism for provided police services. The Pennsylvania Public Utility Commission is giving advice for digging projects during this April as it gets recognition as a month for safe digging. Project funds were approved for a replacement project on the sidewalk outside PNC Park where the personalized Bucco bricks got taken away for recycling. And President Donald Trump is opposing the Japanese company Nippon Steel purchasing U.S. steel. For the weather forecast today will be mostly cloudy skies with a high near 50 and a slight chance of showers after 2 p.m. Tonight will be some increasing clouds with a low of around 38 and a chance of showers. And tomorrow it'll be a slight chance of showers before 2 p.m. Otherwise, it'll be mostly cloudy skies with a high near 52. On this Friday, April 11th of 2025 at 33 minutes after 8, we have got a temperature of 37 degrees currently in Beaver County. That's a look at news headlines. More at 9:05. I'm Noah Haswell on 99.3 FM and AM 1230 WBVP. Also streaming live around the world at beavercountyradio.com.
When accidents and injuries happen, you need the experience and insight of the legal team at Luxembourg, Garbett, Kelly & George. Since 1934, they've been committed to the physical and financial recovery of personal injury victims. Why choose the law firm of Luxembourg, Garbett, Kelly & George? Attorney Larry Kelly explains.
First of all, we've been AV rated by Martindale Hubbell. It's the highest rating you can get for legal ability and ethics, and that comes from our peers. We have board-certified civil trial specialist, which is like another bar exam. Would you go to a doctor who is not board-certified? Probably not. I've always said, and I tell my daughters, I have 3 daughters who are attorneys. Those in the profession know. The lawyers of LGKG have the respect of our peers, and that's all I ever cared about.
For your free initial consultation, call the law firm of Luxembourg, Garbett, Kelly & George at 724-658-8535 or online at lgkg.com. Luxembourg, Garbett, Kelly & George, keeping promises for over 80 years.
Lincoln Park Performing Arts Center in Midland presents Anastasia, the epic adventure of home, love, and family, May 2nd through the 11th. Sponsored by Clearview Federal Credit Union. For tickets, visit LincolnParkArts.org.
Tune in to Beaver County Radio 99.3 FM and 1230 WBVP every Monday and Thursday from 5 to 6 p.m. for Thinking Logically with Joe Corsai. It is an all-new show that takes a look at the conservative side of politics. Thinking Logically is also presented on the WBVP-WNBA Facebook page and YouTube channel. That's Thinking Logically with Joe Corsai each and every Monday and Thursday from 5 to 6 p.m. right here on Beaver County Radio. Beaver County Radio proudly welcomes Fry Transportation to their family. You're listening to 99.3 FM and 1230 WBVP, live from the all-new Fry Transportation Studios.
If you own a company or a small business, you might have considered advertising on radio. It's smart because radio is still the most far-reaching media outlet today. WBVP and WMBA can get you results. Get more information at beavercountyradio.com.
Tune in to Good Talk with Matthew Modani every fourth Friday of the month from 11 a.m. to noon for an exciting dive into real estate. Matthew, a real estate pro, will share valuable lessons and expert tips on navigating the real estate market with professional guests. Stay updated with the latest news and sports in Beaver County and the Pittsburgh area, whether you're a real estate enthusiast or simply enjoy a good story. Good Talk with Matthew Modani is your source of entertaining real estate, local news, and sports. The show will also be live on our Facebook. Don't miss out.
If you own a company or a small business, you might have considered advertising on radio. It's smart because radio is still the most far-reaching media outlet today. WBVP and WMBA can get you results. Get more information at beavercountyradio.com.
Put freedom in your future. Freedom United Federal Credit Union in Rochester.
What does it take to take an adventure? Endurance, for when the trail's crumbling under your tires and the desert's pushed you to your limit. And a visit to your Honda dealer's service center so you can do it again and again. Our Honda trained technicians know what's best for your vehicle. When you're due for maintenance, visit your Honda dealer's service center. We take care so you can take an adventure.
Drive into Moon Honda for your express lube needs or schedule online at moonhonda.com.
And we're back here on Drive in the Fast Lane for your Friday morning. And we also drug Mike Romai. We didn't drug him, but we physically drugged him into the room.
We carried him in.
Steve went and grabbed him by the shirt and said, "Get in here, young man."
Come on in here.
So, we're talking baseball this morning. Some of the famous guys that came out of the Beaver County area. And Mike, you as well love baseball like I do, and like to talk about baseball. So what's some of your memories? We were talking about going to Legion games as kids, and
I never made it out of Little League, so I did Pony League, but other than that, I mean, you're talking about the baseball teams, the coaches, Joe Smarts, and your graduating team, 1975, win the state championship and stuff like that. So. Yeah, there were a lot of people. Back in the day, they used to have, at B&W, they used to have a softball field up there. Do you remember that one?
Mike, probably the best field in the whole county. Yeah. Wasn't it beautiful? Right. It had a grass infield. Yeah. And they really took care of that field.
I remember taking the bus up to there to watch a game one time, but all over the county. Yeah, you could talk about Mac, Ambridge. Some of those teams, New Brighton.
Now, was that field you were talking about? Is that the one on 37th Street?
No,
it was a different one?
It was near Morada Dwellings, the front of, I think it was called the Eastworks, was it?
Near the Eastworks, it was 38th, 39th Street, a couple blocks past the Little League field.
Yeah, right.
And you could not get on that field. It was the B&W owned it, and it was for their softball leagues.
Wow.
Some of the big players in those days, too, softball players.
Right.
Oh, that's another thing. Softball,
yeah. And it's where there's like storage facility there now.
Okay.
If you go up between St. Philomena's with St. Philomena's and the Morada Dwellings, there's some kind of storage facilities there.
Okay.
That's where it used to be.
Gotcha. Okay.
Had a fence all around it and everything like that, and ball players who used to work in the mills played softball up there. They were pretty good. You remember Tommy Carter, the Rat?
Oh,
Rat?
Yeah, we lost him last year.
Yeah.
There was a lot of.
Did Chief ever play for that? Your brother?
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought he did. Yeah.
Well, B&W, they used to hire employees based on
whether they could play softball
their
or
softball
not.
team. Because my dad told me that's how he got his job.
Okay.
His
that
uncle,
makes sense.
My uncle, Benny Salvano, worked in the mill. Mm-hmm. And he was forming his softball team, and he says, "I want Rab on my team. Come on, I'll give you a job."
Yeah, Yeah, I remember those days back when with softball and growing up like that. Like my one uncle, he was probably, they always said he was one of the best pitchers around. They always called him Beans. His name was Joe Romanchek. They called him the mailman, but he was always he was one of the better ones that played in the leagues like that. And remember when you're talking about the softball leagues. Remember the Blatz teams, how good they were for a long time locally here. But we had a lot of
beer leagues out there.
A lot of beer leagues, a lot of good softball. I remember my dad played for Babe's Bar when I was a kid, and I had that shirt for a long time. I don't know what happened to it. I don't have it now.
If you took an attendance of all those softball teams, you'll find all the great athletes that played in high school that didn't go on to college that's where they were. Okay. Because, you want to stay active when you're in your 20s and 30s. And all these guys, and you had like all these great high school athletes that for one reason or another, they just wanted to work and get married, start their family, and they all ended up playing in these softball leagues. And you go to some of these softball games, and it's like watching a professional game.
Well, and then you had the rec league too, don't forget, as well, because I remember, like in the 70s and 80s, Ronnie Shiro played in that league.
Deal.
Yeah,
I'll never
the Beaver
forget
Falls team, they were good.
The big game, Terry Francona was like 16. And he was playing in a county league game against Beaver Falls. And that's when the fields were down below.
Right.
Remember when the field was down by where that horse thing?
Yeah.
That part of the park?
Yeah.
And it was packed. And Shiro pitched against Francona, and we were amazed that Terry went 3 for 3. In that game. And he was 16, and he was facing a Ronnie Shiro that was at that time, I think, Slippery Rock still pitching, and got drafted by the Pirates, and he was very good. And that's when everyone looked at Francona and said, you know what, he's going to be a great one.
Yeah, that's for sure. So, I mean, that was some of the good games.
Little known fact, Frank, but you probably don't even know this. Back in the 1980s, WBVP had a softball team. We used to play
I've
out
seen
of Brady's.
the pictures.
I've
seen the pictures
of it, and we weren't that good. In fact, we used to say we can't beat these teams because they were sponsors, and so we wanted them to keep on advertising. We weren't that good anyway. We weren't going to beat them anyway. But the pictures exist.
I've seen some pictures. Yeah, there's a couple of them. There's a couple with you in them, if I'm not mistaken. I have to look for them. We might have to dig those ones out.
Well, I remember Mike played for Enlow Shoes in Little League. I remember Mike.
All right.
Yeah.
Another little known fact. Steve might know this, but Bobby Middleman, he donated a uniform, an Enlow Shoes uniform, to the Larry Bruno Foundation. It's my old uniform.
Oh, really?
It's my old uniform,
That's
number
cool.
23. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah.
That's
I don't even know
slick.
if Bobby knew that. But yeah.
So, and speaking of the Larry Bruno Foundation, you guys got the display up and running that has the famous calls of BVP on it, from what I understand. Curtis said he kind of got it finished up, no?
I'll tell you what. I think it's the best.
Is it? Okay.
It's the best display in the museum. Yeah. Okay, we have Sluggo Counts.
Sluggo.
I got pictures of Sluggo in the old studio because he used to come up there with me.
We have Sluggo's radio. Okay, his floor model radio from like the 30s that Mark Peterson, the former owner of BVP, had.
Right.
He graciously donated it to us. We had Curtis Walsh, a technician here at the BVP, come in, and he wired this thing up for us. And you guys were so gracious in helping us. You shared your archives with us, some of the old recordings, because I thought, wouldn't that be cool to have an old radio where you could sit around it like the old days and listen to old broadcasts?
Right.
I mean, I asked myself when we're doing things in the museum, what would I like to see? And that's something that I would like. And I'm like, well, why can't we do it? We got this radio. We got Curtis. We got you guys involved. And the final product is we have about 12 buttons on this thing, this radio, and you can come into the museum and you can hit a button and hear a famous call from the past.
That's cool.
And people are going crazy.
What are some of the calls that are on there?
We have, for example, Beaver Falls winning state titles in basketball.
Okay.
We have New Brighton, Gabe Jackson with a game-winning shot.
A couple weeks ago, yeah.
We have Girls Beaver Softball winning the Whippeal Championship.
Right.
These are all calls from WBVP, like Bob Barrickman and Frederick and all these guys. Yeah. We have Rochester winning the state title in football, the call.
Okay.
So you could come in and relive these calls.
That's pretty sweet.
We have A couple, but we try to spread them out through the county. We have Blackhawk, Rochester, New Brighton, Beaver Falls, Aliquippa. Oh, yeah, we have Darrell Revis and Pudgy Abercrombie, 2 separate ones, making long touchdown runs. So you can actually come in, hit the button, hear these calls, and it brings all these memories back. And we have a huge poster you can look at for BVP. It's really nice, Frank.
Do we have the Jeter last-second shot to win the championship?
Without a doubt. Without a doubt.
That's got to be there.
I mean, I'll still say this, and I'll argue this with everybody.
Right.
Probably the single biggest play in Beaver Falls sports history was that 2005
probably
Aliquippa Whippeal game when Jeter made 2 shots, one at the end of regulation to tie it, to send it to overtime, and then in double overtime, the game-winning shot.
Did you get that clip I sent you? I sent you a clip of that. There's somebody put together a montage of those last couple seconds. Jim Fredericks, I believe, made the call on that. And I sent you through email a clip because it was fabulous and it was exact. You know, it was like the last 30 seconds they put it together on those overtimes.
I'm having a little trouble with my email. Yeah, I'm having a little trouble with my email.
That's pretty cool.
I mean, you listen to it, and it was so exciting.
You have to play that on air, Mike. That'd be cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was
that'd
something.
be cool.
But people come in, they'll hit that button, and they'll go, "Oh my God." Oh my God! And then it all comes back to them, and you know, we want to have something interactive. We don't want to just walk through our museum and just look at stuff. We have that, and we have a highlight film at Namath in high school.
Right,
Frank, that's worth the price of admission
Absolutely.
right there. Although there's no admission, it's free to get in.
Right.
But that's worth coming down and seeing the 5th best high school quarterback that ever lived, according to Max Prep.
Right.
That's not me talking.
Right.
It's Max Prep. Okay.
That's cool.
You can see highlights of his whole high school career on a screen in our museum.
That's pretty awesome. So
And I know you've talked about this with Steve, and we've talked about it before because people, you call it the Larry Bruno Foundation, and it's in Beaver Falls, and a lot of Beaver Falls, Joe Namath and stuff. But just what you were saying there on those audio clips, you've got Rochester, you've got Aliquippa, you've got New Brighton, and so it's countywide.
Mike, thank you so much for pointing that out. People were saying to me, Higgs, why do you just make it Beaver Falls? Because that limits you in your marketing. It's not. It's not. It's the whole county. Look at it this way, Frank. Carl Flory, for example, one of our inductees, taught for 30 years at Beaver Falls, coached at Beaver Falls. He's a Beaver Falls guy, right? But where did he make his bones? Rochester, Riverside and Elwood. Okay.
Right.
So when you come to the museum and you see Carl Flory, you're not seeing just a Beaver Falls guy. You're seeing Riverside and Elwood. Eddie Olkowski. Famous coach for Midland. People don't realize 1948 Beaver Falls graduate. He's a Beaver Falls guy. But no one knows that. They know him Midland.
Right.
So when you come into our museum and you see the Ed Olkowski plaque, we're promoting Midland.
Right.
And that goes on and on with all of our guys. Richie Natabella, Western Beaver.
Western Beaver, yeah.
Okay. All of our guys that get inducted that have a Beaver Falls connection, but they've made their bones in other places, so we're promoting these other places.
But no matter what, even if the museum wasn't in Beaver Falls, the Larry Bruno Foundation is the perfect name for it because when you talk high school football in Beaver County, one of the first names that comes to everybody's mind is Larry Bruno. Plain and simple.
Definitely.
And Geneva College, Larry Bruno was a graduate of Geneva College. A lot of those coaches that are in there, a lot of the players went to school at Geneva.
It's unbelievable that the connection with Geneva and Beaver Falls.
Right.
Most coaches that coached at Beaver Falls have come through Geneva in some manner, either as a student, as a coach.
Right.
And it's unbelievable. When Coach Bruno was in college in the 40s, he went to college with Dick DiVenzio, Bill Ross, Al Carbone, all these guys that went on to coach other places, Otto Pritchard, all these guys that have coached in Beaver County in all these capacities have come through Geneva. So Geneva is undoubtedly a big part of what we're about.
And Frank being from New Brighton, and you even coached with Joe Ursita.
Absolutely.
Joe Ursita and Larry Matrazzo.
Yeah. I forgot all about them.
Someday I'm going to figure that out. I'm going to make I'm going to sit down for the museum, and I'm going to untangle all these different lines of all these coaches. I mean, it goes all the way back to Leland Chakrin.
Yeah, well,
when he was a quarterback at Geneva in 26, when they had Kyle Hubbard, and they beat Harvard 16-7, probably the biggest win ever for Geneva's history.
Well, look at Geneva's current staff. I mean, they all, for the most part, have a connection to Beaver County.
And Leland Chakrin, coached Beaver Falls up until the 50s. And Kyle Hubbard had an umpiring school up on 26th Street, for crying out loud, and he's in the Hall of Fame for being the greatest umpire that ever lived.
That's pretty cool.
All from
wait. Not Sluggo counts?
Sluggo's second.
The greatest umpire that ever lived?
Sluggo's second.
All right, we're visiting with Steve Higgins from Larry Bruno Foundation this morning. Mike Roma is hanging out with us as well this morning. We're going to take a short break. And if you want to comment, any players, or you want to throw anything out there as well, you're welcome to call in at 724-843-1888. And we'll be back with more right after this.
Beaver County Radio and Digital Media are proud to present the Beaver County Chamber's annual Congressional Breakfast on Thursday, April 17th from 7:30 a.m. to 9 a.m., live from Seven Oaks in Brighton Township. 17th District U.S. Congressman Chris DeLuzio will discuss the current state of affairs in Beaver County and the 17th District. Beaver County Radio's Mike Romai will provide live coverage of the annual event on all aspects of Beaver County Radio. The show will also be video streamed live on our Facebook page and YouTube channel. The annual Congressional Breakfast broadcast is being brought to you by Moon Township Honda, the Beaver County Chamber of Commerce, and Beaver County Radio.
Scrap, scrap, scrap. They call him the scrapper. Scrap, scrap, scrap.
Hey, this is Donnie Iris, the original rapper. But you gotta check out the original Scrapper at Scrappy Joe's.
Thanks, Donnie. This is Joe the Chili, a.k.a. Scrappy Joe. And I want to invite you to take a scenic ride to historic Oil City, Pennsylvania to visit Scrappy Joe's and the Consignment Family Network. We are one of the largest co-ops in northwestern Pennsylvania. We have over 70 consignment vendor booths on display with over 1 million products to choose from, like antiques, collectibles, arts and crafts, and much more. Stop by and say hello to my partner Sue Downing and I. That's Scrappy Joe's at 4149 Route 257, Oil City, Pennsylvania. Everybody goes to Scrappy Joe's. See us on Facebook and Google.
Make Easter more delicious than ever with chocolates from Rosalind Candy Castle in New Brighton. The entire Rosalind Candy Castle family invites you to stop in for the area's best selection of Easter basket fillers and novelties made from the highest quality pure milk chocolate. Try their homemade hand-decorated Easter eggs, such as the mouth-watering peanut butter melt-away eggs. All 15 varieties of Easter eggs are made fresh in Rosalind's Candy Kitchen. Don't forget, Rosalind Candy will have their delicious chocolate-covered strawberries the 3 days before Easter. Stop by Rosalind Candy Castle on the corner of 13th Street and 5th Avenue in New Brighton, or shop online and order your Easter favorites right from your desk at rosalindcandy.com. Rosalind Candy Castle, the sweetest place in Beaver County.
Patriot Home Care is now hiring caregivers. Are you a caring and compassionate individual looking for a reliable income with benefits? Then call Patriot Home Care today. Benefits include health insurance, life insurance, paid vacation after 1 year, and 1.5 times hourly pay for overtime plus holiday hours. Patriot Home Care employees provide personal care, conversation and companionship, medication reminders, light housekeeping and laundry, meal preparation, and errands. Start your career in home care today and call Patriot Home Care at 724-506-8911 or apply online at patriothomecare.org.
Hey, Pittsburgh, it's your radio buddy Jimmy Fallon inviting you to join me on Wednesday, April 16th. I am at the St. Barnabas Founders Day celebration in Cranberry Township, and tickets to the fundraising event include a cocktail reception, a silent auction, a dinner, and a speech from me. How about it? All event proceeds benefit the St. Barnabas Free Care Fund, and the tickets are on sale now at stbarnabascharities.com or call 724-625-3770 and join me, Jimmy Fallon, Wednesday, April 16th at the Pittsburgh Marriott North in Cranberry Township.
A lot has changed since 1885. That's when my great-grandfather, William Andrew Hartzell, opened the doors to our family-owned and operated funeral home. This is William F. Rick Murphy from the William Murphy Funeral Home Incorporated in Rochester. Together with my son, Brian C. Murphy, we represent a business that is now flourishing into its 5th generation. Throughout that time, we've had the pleasure of experiencing many of local memories that have made Rochester and the surrounding area so great. I'll bet many of you can easily recall the H.C. Fry Glassworks, Barnett's Bootery, or even Kaufman's Department Store with its massive double-decker parking lot.
To put things in perspective, my family was already serving others at their time of need before the automobile had even been invented and the aforementioned businesses started and ended. Our commitment to serve our community with dignity and compassion has allowed the William Murphy Funeral Home, Inc. to preserve a business legacy that spans nearly 140 years, and we're still here. To contact us, visit our website at William Murphy Funeral Home, Inc. or call 724-775-0309.
Just in time for Lent, it's everyone's favorite, McDonald's famous Filet-O-Fish. Get 2 Filet-O-Fish and basket of fries now for only $9.99. Don't forget to add a Shamrock Shake or Oreo Shamrock McFlurry. McDonald's, I'm loving it.
Beaver County Radio, 99.3 FM, 1230 WBVP, and beavercountyradio.com.
All right, it is 8:56. Got a few minutes left here till top of the hour. Larry Kelly coming up from LGKG talking about baseball, guys. Coming up next, right, as soon as we're done here on Driving in the Fast Lane. Mike Romai will be in. And, Mike, I got a surprise for you. And I'm not going to give it away until I think I switched. Yeah, until I hear it, because I want to see your reaction to it.
Okay.
Whenever the show opens today. So
I
want to see your reaction to it.
Okay. All right, Larry Kelly, speak it and go ahead.
Jimmy
Fatal?
Merkel. I couldn't think of his name. Jimmy Merkel.
Oh yeah,
was up to having some fun yesterday.
Oh, okay.
So he kind of made something a little fun.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
wait till you hear.
What a talent that guy is.
Messing around with AI.
Yeah. Oh,
we've been messing with AI. So
Oh boy.
Yeah.
But this wasn't messing with AI. This is just funny. So. Look forward to hearing it.
You mentioned Larry Kelly.
9-10.
Larry Kelly. He played Ed Prince, Larry Kelly, my dentist, Chris Caputo.
Right.
They all played in adult league baseball until they were like 60.
Right.
Yeah.
I remember that because Larry, he would disappear in the winter.
Yeah.
Chuck Garbett would come in, and Larry'd be down in Florida playing baseball.
Yeah.
Yeah. I remember
those guys just couldn't get it out of their
baseball
system.
guy. Yeah.
Yeah, ask him today what ended it for him. He'll tell you. I think it was a broken arm or a broken leg or something.
Oh boy.
Pulled groin.
He's
or
like,
something.
yeah, that's enough for me. At that point. All right, we got time. We're going to take a real quick phone call. Good morning. You're on Driving in the Fast Lane.
Hey, Frank. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Good. Hey, I got a few questions for you guys.
Go for it.
One is, which school district in Beaver County over time do you think put out the most guys that went after high school and played in college, number one? Number two, which school district in Beaver County put out the most that went to pros? And number three, which athlete in the history of Beaver County you think was probably the best athlete that never went on and did anything after high school? I'll let you guys answer this.
Okay, cool. Thanks. Oh, that's a.
I thought maybe he had an answer there somewhere.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Yeah, there were some tough ones. Now, as far as the most athletes that went on to pro ball, right away you got to start with Aliquippa and Beaver Falls.
Absolutely.
Because Aliquippa is uncanny. We had Don Yanessa into the museum one day, and he was talking about like the history of Aliquippa and was dropping all these names. And there was guys in the 60s that people never heard of. Like Aliquippa would have 3 or 4 guys go Division I every year, and the same with Beaver Falls. You know, you're hearing about all these guys from Beaver Falls, and you don't realize that when they were in high school how great of an athletes they were. But I would think Aliquippa and Beaver Falls, because again, you got Aliquippa shooting guys into the pros way back in the 30s and 40s. You know, with Pecky Suter, and they had a guy in the Olympics in 1932. His guy's name was Zaremba.
Okay.
And Beaver Falls through the years with all their great athletes. I think Monaca might be another one that produced a lot.
We got about 15 seconds. We got to finish up.
But Monaca, I think, would be high up there. But I'd say Beaver Falls and Aliquippa would be the first. And as far as the guy that never made it, that was a high school great, I mean, there's just so many. You guys like Stan Sly, the basketball player. I mean,
Well, it sounds like a topic for
Dwight
another show.
Collins
Yeah.
actually made it.
There you go.
But I'd say Dwight Collins because he could have been a Hall of Famer.
Right.
So I'd say maybe Collins. You
Okay.
know?
All right, cool. Steve, thanks.
Thank
Information
you.
on Larry Bruno Foundation. How can anybody get a hold of you guys if they want to?
724-732-6040 is my phone number. I can answer any questions. We have 3 big events coming up, and they're all going to be great for the community. And we want everybody to come and join us.
All right. See, you did show prep. We didn't even use your show prep today.
I know. We just went off on everything, and it was
All right.
great. I had a blast.
All right. Sounds good. See you see you in 2 weeks.
Thank
All right.
you.
All right. Coming up next, it's something to crow about. Mike Romai. He has Larry Kelly in hour number 1. So stay tuned for that here on Beaver County Radio.
I got to make sure I tell you.
You're listening to 90.